Thank you. Thank you. Look, I note the Gambling and Regulation Bill 2022 seeks to establish the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Ireland for the purpose of licensing and regulating betting, gaming, certain lotteries and the sale and supply of products and services relating to gambling. When it comes to extending powers of regulation in the private sector, as lawmakers, it is incumbent on us to be conservative in the constraints that we put on any industry. Problem gambling is, of course, a great concern. I strongly support the intent of the bill to target activities which encourage problem gambling, particularly in the internet age, and to protect vulnerable people and children from certain tactics being used by the gaming industry to target them. The bill addresses concerns around problem gambling, and that is certainly an important social issue to address, but we must seriously consider the concerns of the relevant stakeholders in the relevant industries and charities that will be directly impacted here too. The members of the Charities Institute Ireland, the Federation of Irish Sport and the GAA strongly support the intention of the Gambling Regulation Bill to establish a gambling regulatory authority with powers to control the commercial gambling industry. However, these groups are highly concerned with some apparent unintended consequences of the bill and in its current form, and contacted me and no doubt many other members of the Oireachtas with their concerns. As currently drafted, the bill creates a watershed by banning any advertising or gambling activities between 5:30 a.m. and 9 o'clock p.m. 7 days a week. Fundraising campaigns that include raffles and draws are defined as gambling under law. This means that the local GAA raffle, for example, would likely fall under this provision as it is currently drafted in the bill. Community fundraising of any kind is the lifeblood of institutions such as the GAA and local sporting and charitable groups. The effects of this law could have catastrophic effect if we do not consider these concerns. Members of the Charities Institute Ireland, the Federation of Irish Sport and the GAA depend on this fundraising to provide essential services and community sports, and on their behalf I raise the points that they have asked to be exempted from this advertising watershed since the bill was first published. Community fundraising is in no way linked to problem gambling, so I return to my earlier points that we must be cautious when it comes to extending regulations of any kind to any industry. The problem this law could cause for charities and community groups are clear, and we therefore must consider either specific exemptions or consider removing some constraints in its entirety. The Charities Regulatory Authority already places massive compliance and regulatory burdens on charities. An additional regulator overseeing the type of fundraising will only harm a wholly unrelated sector, which is the charity sector. The unintended consequences of this bill will result in significant financial loss for charities should they now be regulated in the same way as a commercial gambling company. Many charities could never meet the costs associated with the financial and legal obligations that would be imposed on them by this bill. The Ronald McDonald House is an example of a charity that is already regulated for financial oversight by the Charities Regulatory Authority and other state bodies funders. This charity has asked to specifically exclude registered charities and accredited sports clubs from the proposed advertising bans between 5:30 a.m. and 9 p.m. Section 144 of the bill, as passed by the Dáil, has made an exemption for the relevant gambling activity for a charitable or philanthropic purpose where the maximum winnings for the activity do not exceed 10,000. I oppose this limit as a charity raffling a car or a GAA fundraiser, for example, which is a popular and successful means of fundraising, would now be unduly impinged. The legislation, as is currently drafted, will mean approximately 200,000 loss for the Ronald McDonald House Charity Ireland. It costs Ronald McDonald House Charity 800,000 every year to run the Ronald McDonald House, and so a loss of this size highlights the detrimental impact this bill would have on their mission impact and, most importantly, the families they support. This potential loss will also put a further strain on several government departments, as there will be an increase in the level of funding requests from charities and sporting organisations. The concerns of gambling firms on this restriction are particularly crucial here too. Both Racing TV and Sky Sports Racing warn make it unviable for them to broadcast in Ireland should their proposed ban between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. become law. Prior to the 2024 budget, the Tax Strategy Group, which is chaired by the Department of Finance, released a report in July which suggested a 0.5% hike in betting duty from the current 2%. Additionally, forcing bookmakers paying a mandatory annual contribution to the Social Impact Fund is yet another state-imposed cost at this time. We cannot impose such costs lightly. This was met with consternation from the industry just 4 years after it was doubled from 1 to 2%, a rise that triggered 100 shops closures and 600 job losses according to the Irish Bookmakers Association. So we must look at this beyond the social good we are trying to achieve here and look at the potential social harm of job losses and business closures while bookmakers remain a stable business in villages, towns and cities across the country. This bill creates additional burdens for regulatory and compliance measures that will certainly lead to a downgrading in interest in horse racing and betting. Bookmakers, particularly small and independent bookmakers, will not want to get involved in a sport overburdened with governance, regulation, restrictions, and how they can bet and when they can view or, for example, live racing. This will lead to a reduction in betting activity and, consequently, the betting duty yield will collapse. We cannot underestimate the impact this will have on small and medium-sized enterprises in this area. This could have serious knock-on effects to struggling racecourses, and I have received correspondence from people in the sector who points to similar government measures in the UK as evidence where the UK Gambling Commission has impacted on racing, particularly as a result in turmoil because of the activities in restricting punters. I have to stress now that I have an interest in this. I'm a director of Bellewstown Racecourse, which is a non-paying role that I actually hold. So the new gambling bill will have serious consequences for the horse racing across the North East. Many of the new regulations of the gambling bill will limit, curtail, restrict, impact ordinary punters who don't have gambling problems. Owners and syndicate support trainers and racecourses with their runners, and any restrictions in how they bet would be disastrous for racing in the North East. We have 5 racecourses in the North East: Fairyhouse, Navan, Dundalk, Bellewstown and Laytown, hosting 90 race meetings in the year. Racing festivals in the North East are very popular with the locals and visitors alike. There are 86 trainers based in the North East, employing 2,500 staff. The North East breeders and point-to-point clubs are the backbone of the racing industry, and concerns have been expressed by those bodies about the new gambling bill. There are up to 50 local independent bookmakers in the North East who operate shops and racecourse pitches who will be impacted by the new licensing regulation. Tatterstalls Ireland is in Fairyhouse, is the main venue for horse sales in the country in the North East. Tatterstalls generated 62 million on the sales of 2,500 horses in most recent figures. So any dilution in the appeal of horse racing will impact those sales. So the North East, it's an area steeped in national hunt history. The legendary Arkle was trained outside Ashbourne in my own area. 2 recent winners of the Aintree Grand National came from Meath: Tiger Roll, winner in the 2018 and 2019, and the 2007 winner Silver Birch were both trained by Meath trainers Gordon Elliott. Gavin Cromwell in my own area from Screen trained the winner of the Champion Hurdle at Cheltenham in 2019. So horse racing is a vitally important industry across the North East. So we call on the government not to act in a way that will harm this industry. We all care about people impacted by gambling, and we welcome measures that will safeguard them, but this must not be done at the expense of an industry so vital for employment and tourism across the North East and across the country, that creates so much enjoyment for the vast majority of people who bet in moderation and go racing. So we must be cautious with proceeding with this bill, but I certainly welcome the spirit of the House, and I look forward to engaging in the remaining stages.